Today's story takes us deep into the shadows of the Russia-Ukraine war, a story that very few people know about, and one that has sent shockwaves across global intelligence networks. The title says it all. Ukraine waited for China's secret convoy to enter Russia, then erased it in minutes. But what was this convoy? Why was it so important? And how did Ukraine manage to pull off such a precise and devastating strike without anyone realizing what was coming? Let's dive into it. It all began when satellite intelligence picked up a series of unusual movements along Russia's eastern supply routes, far from the typical front lines of fighting in Donetsk or Kharkiv. These routes connected deep into Russia's interior, closer to the border with China. What caught analysts' attention wasn't just the movement itself, but what these convoys were carrying. Equipment with Chinese markings, wrapped under heavy tarpaulins, escorted by Russian military police. Western intelligence agencies had long suspected that China was quietly supplying Russia with non-lethal aid, drones, electronics, and dual-use equipment. But this convoy seemed different. It was heavily guarded, moving at night, and coordinated through encrypted communication systems rarely used by the Russian army. It appeared that this was not a routine shipment. This was something secret, something China didn't want the world to see. Over the following days, Ukrainian intelligence, with help from Western surveillance satellites and intercepted communications, began piecing together the puzzle. The convoy was believed to be carrying advanced guidance systems for Russia's long-range missiles, technology that could significantly improve Russian strike accuracy. If true, it meant that China was stepping far deeper into the war than anyone expected. But Ukraine wasn't about to let that happen. The plan to stop the convoy took weeks to prepare. Ukrainian special forces, cyber units, and long-range artillery teams all worked together to track the convoy's route. They couldn't strike it on Chinese soil or near the border. That would risk direct confrontation with Beijing. Instead, they decided to wait until the convoy crossed into Russian territory, where it became a legitimate military target. As the convoy approached the border, satellite imagery confirmed its size. More than 20 trucks, each carrying large containers, followed by fuel tankers and a mobile command vehicle. Ukrainian drones disguised as civilian UAVs hovered at extreme altitudes, invisible to Russian radar. They tracked every move in real time. On the night of October 19th, the convoy crossed into Russia's Amur region. For a brief moment, it seemed safe. The Russians believed their secret route had worked. The Chinese trucks, covered in camouflage nets, continued under the protection of Russian anti-air systems. But what they didn't know was that those very systems had already been mapped by Ukraine's Electronic Warfare Division. At 2:17 a.m., local time, a series of coordinates were transmitted from a Ukrainian command center deep underground. Moments later, the skies over the Amur region lit up. 6 American-made HIMARS rockets, launched from a position hundreds of kilometers away, tore through the darkness. The first wave hit the convoy's lead trucks, cutting off any chance of escape. The second wave targeted the center, where the largest containers were located. The explosions were massive. Witnesses from nearby villages later described seeing fireballs rise into the sky like miniature suns. Within minutes, the entire convoy was engulfed in flames. Russian rescue teams rushed to the site. But what they found was total destruction. Twisted metal, shattered electronics, and burned equipment with serial numbers traced back to Chinese manufacturers. For the next 48 hours, Russian state media remained silent. But leaked videos started appearing online. Short clips showing military trucks reduced to ash and soldiers standing in disbelief. Western analysts confirmed through satellite comparison that the entire convoy had been wiped out, more than 20 vehicles destroyed in under 5 minutes. This wasn't just a military success for Ukraine. It was a geopolitical statement. By waiting for the convoy to cross into Russian territory, Ukraine avoided direct confrontation with China but sent a clear message. No secret supply to Moscow would go unnoticed. Every move, every shipment, every alliance, they were all being watched. Behind the scenes, diplomatic tension skyrocketed. Beijing immediately denied involvement, calling the reports fabrications and accusing Western intelligence of spreading disinformation. However, evidence collected from the wreckage told a different story. Fragments of Chinese-made chips, wiring components, and packaging labels written in Mandarin. Even if China didn't officially send them, someone in Beijing had approved the deal. Russia, embarrassed and furious, blamed Ukraine for escalating the war and accused the U.S. of assisting in the strike. But their anger also turned inward. How did Ukraine know exactly when and where to strike? How did they penetrate such a secret operation? The answer, according to reports, lies in one of the most sophisticated intelligence-sharing operations ever seen between Ukraine and its Western allies. Ukrainian cyber units had allegedly hacked into a Russian logistics system weeks earlier. By doing so, they gained access to real-time convoy data, including routes, radio frequencies, and encrypted signals used by Russian officers. Combine that with Western satellite imagery and advanced AI surveillance, and Ukraine essentially had a live feed of the convoy's movement from start to finish. As news spread, international reaction was mixed. Western nations quietly praised Ukraine's precision and restraint, while others warned that such operations could push China closer to open support for Russia. Yet in military terms, the strike was a masterpiece, a flawless execution that combined intelligence, patience, and pinpoint accuracy. For Ukraine, this wasn't just about destroying equipment. It was about deterrence. They wanted to show Russia and its allies that no matter how far they hide or how secret their supply lines are, Ukraine's eyes are everywhere. And for the first time, Russia's confidence in its eastern connections was shattered. Inside Russia, military analysts were stunned. This strike didn't just destroy vehicles, it disrupted a critical supply chain that was supposed to modernize Russia's missile guidance capabilities. Reports suggested that some of the destroyed cargo included prototype navigation systems designed to replace Western-made chips lost to sanctions. Losing them meant another major setback for Russia's military production. China, meanwhile, quietly began pulling back some of its logistics advisors from Russian bases. Officially, they cited security concerns, but unofficially it was a sign that Beijing wasn't ready to get dragged into direct confrontation over Moscow's war. Behind closed doors, Chinese diplomats urged Russia to keep future cooperation untraceable, indicating that even their closest partners didn't want to be exposed again. As Ukrainian media celebrated the successful strike, President Zelensky reportedly told his military commanders, "Let this be a warning. Every secret they hide will burn under our sky." The quote went viral across Ukrainian networks, symbolizing national pride and defiance. Weeks later, more details began to emerge from Western intelligence leaks. The operation, codenamed Iron Veil, involved more than just artillery. It was a multi-layered deception strategy. Ukrainian drones created false signals to distract Russian radar, while cyber teams jammed communication lines, ensuring that no warning could be sent to the convoy. By the time Russia realized what was happening, it was already too late. The aftermath of the strike sent ripples through military communities around the world. Experts began calling it one of the most precise intelligence-based strikes in modern warfare, a combination of cyber warfare, satellite coordination, and long-range firepower, executed flawlessly. But beyond the tactical brilliance, the event exposed a bigger truth. The Russia-Ukraine war had evolved far beyond conventional battlefields. This was now a high-tech shadow war, one where intelligence, cyber attacks, and surveillance were as deadly as missiles. In the months following the incident, Russia began restructuring its supply routes, forcing convoys to take longer, more complex paths. Meanwhile, Ukraine continued to monitor, intercept, and, when necessary, strike again. The war wasn't just about territory anymore. It was about control of information, timing, and technology. As for the world, the message was clear. The partnership between Russia and China was not as untouchable as it seemed. When Ukraine erased that convoy in minutes, it didn't just destroy trucks, it shattered the illusion of secrecy between two of the world's most powerful authoritarian regimes. So what's next? Many analysts believe Ukraine will continue to target high-value operations like this, quietly, efficiently, and with maximum impact. Because in this new kind of warfare, patience and intelligence are more powerful than brute force, and that's how Ukraine turned what could have been Russia's secret advantage into a devastating humiliation, all in a matter of minutes. If you found this story fascinating, make sure to hit the like button. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more deep, analytical coverage of ongoing global conflicts. Because in today's world, truth often hides behind silence, and our job is to uncover it.